Welcome to episode 3 of 2025 of the Home Services Home Show, where you learn everything you need to.
And a whole lot you don't.
Yes. Hey, one of the questions that we got. What's that, producer Shane?
Or
what?
Four episodes.
This is number 4. Oh,
you're an overachiever, Larson.
I said we were committed to giving the people what they want.
Yeah.
This is 4 already. All right, cool. One of the questions that we've had a couple times is, we say that between the two of us, we've got 50 years of construction experience, and what are our stories? Because honestly, we could be making this stuff up.
Right.
I wouldn't put it past me.
I've seen you in moments so you can make some really good shit up, but
yeah, I'm kind of good at it. But we are not. So, I'll give a little bit of my background. I really truly first got interested in construction because of my father. My father wasn't in construction, but I guess he probably coined the term jack of all trades. He can do anything.
He can.
My grandfather was a farmer, and he had a side business, and he built pole barns, a lot of pole barns. And my father helped him build pole barns. And so my dad knew a lot about construction. And when I was 15 years old, we undertook a remodel, an addition of our house. And we took our house from 1,200 square feet to 2,400 square feet. And me and my father did the vast majority of the work ourselves. And the only thing we didn't do was lay the block for the basement, pour the cement in the basement. We did not do the roofing, and we did not tape the sheetrock. We put the sheetrock on the walls.
Sure.
We didn't tape
hung it.
That's the worst part. And it takes a true artist
to
do that good. So that's really what kind of sparked my interest in construction. I absolutely loved doing it. I was paid really, really well by my father.
3 meals?
I got 3 meals. I got a bed, and he let me go pick out whatever pair of basketball shoes I want. I was like, oh, man. Of course I went.
What shoes did you pick?
I actually picked out, this would have been in 1996. Barclays had just come out. And I still remember to this day, they were $140. And
did your dad have a coronary?
No, he didn't care. He said, whatever shoes you want. Like, cool.
I know your father. I'm surprised he didn't have a coronary.
But I think he got a lot of free labor out of me. So
$140
$140 was a good deal. So I got the most expensive pair that were literally on the market at that time. And they were the heaviest, worst basketball shoes ever, but I was not going to say anything. And then Lindus Construction, summer job, doing gutters.
Installing for you, right?
Oh, installing, yep. Installing, crew lead, installed thousands and thousands of feet of leaf guard gutters, and moved into sales and sales management, and I'll leave it at there for now.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that's how kind of it all started for me.
Got it. Yeah, and for me it was I went through high school. I was always hands on. The wood tech and metal tech, and I actually went to school for architecture. Went 2 years architecture. I thought I wanted to be an architect, and so I started with 2 years up in Green Bay, and I loved so from the very first nail in the foundation to the last nail on your trim, I can tell you how every nail goes in the house. But I couldn't get locked up in a office all day long. That it wasn't going to work. So I got out of college, worked at a foundation company, precast foundation company. Went to Lindus. That's where you and I met. And we were both
selling to them.
No, I was in operations.
Gotcha.
So I overseen the guys that actually made the precast foundation walls, and I did the drawing and then oversaw production. So it was a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed it. I learned a lot, but I didn't really learn everything I needed to know until we got to Lindus. When you and I got to sales at Lindus back, and that'd have been in 2000. My daughter was just born in 2005.
2005.
Yep. So in 2005, I started there a little bit before she was born, and then we crushed it. Right, we won every contest. I felt bad for everybody else. Like if there was a contest that Andy put out, no chance.
Might as well stay home.
It was you got the leaf guard side, and I got the construction side. Everybody else lost. But we had a lot of fun. But we learned. I think at Lindus, we really truly learned what it meant to take care of people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was going to say the knowledge behind doing the work is one thing.
Mm-hmm.
We learned a lot of that there. Learned roofing, learned siding, all the little things that make it work so you don't have problems in the future.
because Kevin was an absolute. Not doing it right wasn't an option. Like his name was on the door, and I mean he literally truly wouldn't let it go unless it was perfect.
No, and he was always trying to come up with different, better, going against the status quo, I
Sure.
guess you'd say. I mean, I remember some specific codes that he had changed in different cities because he's like, no,
There's a better way.
this is a better way to do it.
Right.
We should be doing it this way. And, when they would see, they'd say, okay, they would change their building codes.
Yeah. He was very passionate about that. Codes are the minimum.
Yeah.
And he never wanted to do the minimum. And that he instilled that into us from the production folks at Lindus, but also the salespeople. Like he drilled into our heads that the minimum is not what these customers deserve. That's not what they're paying for.
And he was very passionate, to say the least. So passionate that most of the time when he was in the office, I didn't want to be there. His passion exuded
I love Kevin Lindus
through office doors and walls, and it's a passionate man.
Yeah, and he passed on his boys. I mean,
Absolutely.
Adam, Alex, and Andy, they got the same passion and conviction, and that business is amazing for that reason. But
correct.
But so our time there ended kind of. So how we transitioned where we got now is I lost my father at 52 and my mother at 50, both to heart attacks, and we were working together. And I said, I got to get back home. And home was for my wife and I was the Valley. And I remember going to telling Emily one day the
Valley is Appleton, Green Bay. If people
there you
don't know where that is.
So
the Valley is like a term for you that some people don't know.
Correct. So I was talking to Emily Lindus, and she's like, "Well, we'll figure something out." And I'm like, "I don't know what that means, but I got to get back home." So we moved in 2000, end of 2008.
Mm-hmm.
You helped me pick up my U-Haul, and we drove across in an ice storm.
Drove it home in an ice storm.
Drove in an ice storm too, and we moved over. We took our two little kids, and we opened a gutter business in 2009. Remember, the economy wasn't amazing.
The worst since the Great Depression.
Right.
In fact,
Great
time to open a company.
a gutter company at that.
Idiot.
And I remember Nick, one of my best friends from high school. I wanted him to come work for us. And I said, "Nick, I want you to come work for me." And he said, "What are you doing?" And I told him, and he's like, "You're gonna try to sell a gutter for $3,000? Good luck," he says. He goes, "Call me when you have a better idea." Okay, right. And now he works for us, and he's one of our employees. He's one of our best. So we opened in 2009, and we learned that we took Kevin Lindus's idea of if you're going to do it right, and when you can make it go in an economy like that, don't forget where you came from, and in the good times, keep that passion, and that's really how we built their businesses. And you did a similar thing when you moved not long after me to do the same thing.
I did. I moved like
6 months.
6 months later, a little different path. I actually went to Milwaukee, and helped run an office down there, and actually opened my own in 2000, end of 2010, beginning of 2011. But we started off doing the same stuff. We started off with leaf guard.
Leaf guard, yep.
And I would say we transitioned in 2012. We transitioned into doing roofing. It's really not something I actually even wanted to do. For us, it was like customer request. Like we just kept getting asked and asked and asked. And
well, they enjoyed the experience we gave them on gutters.
Yes, but we weren't roofers. Now, I sold roofing at Lindus Construction. I had actually physically done some roofing. I knew how to roof, but not enough to where I was like, oh, I want to do a whole bunch of roofing on other people's homes. Because my whole thing is I want to deliver somebody the best product, the best experience. And I want everything to be perfect and everybody be happy. And I want to take any variables out of it. And if I wasn't an absolute expert at it, I didn't want to get into it. But over time, and me just referring out other roofers, we were actually approached by GAF, and you were too, to start roofing. And for starters, we needed to find really, really, really good roofers.
Right. And we both did very early.
Very, very fortunate to find very good roofers very early that have become friends and family.
Yes. I mean, they've been at our last couple Christmas parties. Like,
yeah,
I love it when we're at a Christmas party and your roofers are there and our roofers are there. It just makes you smile on the fact that they feel thankful to be part of the family.
Mm-hmm.
But it was amazing, like, as our businesses grew, and we were the best of friends, but how our businesses stayed so similar. Like it was almost like a mirror image, right? And then, I would say we added insulation in 13, 14, but really in like that later teens, 17, 18, we really started making our businesses almost identical.
Well, we knew what we wanted them to be, right? We knew that we weren't just a gutter company Right. We were more than that. We were roofers, and I call it home performance work, insulation, right? It's layman's term. But we knew we were more than that. We knew we were experts from the attic up, and we knew that a gutter company name just didn't do it justice. And that's when we, changed to Larson Home Services and Keeney Home Services, identical.
Yep.
And our salespeople started training together. Production people started working together. Leadership teams started communicating and consulting with each other. So we kind of like started to almost become one company without being one company.
And then probably I'll say it's the best thing that's ever happened to us was COVID. It really took those businesses that we're kind of dabbling them together, like, hey, we're utilizing some resources and that kind of thing. And COVID said, hey, you're stronger as a group. My wife always used to say, hey, we're stronger as a group.
She still says that.
Usually when we're crossing the street, when we're out, on vacation somewhere. But
walking to a bar.
Probably walking to a bar. But when COVID hit, it really made us take our group, the Lindus group, you and I.
Yeah. I mean, because besides what COVID really was for a small business owner, it was terrifying.
It was scary.
It was so terrifying. Do you remember, like, during COVID,
every night,
3 weeks or so, every single night we have Lindus Construction, you, me, our buddies out in Omaha, our buddy in Iowa, our buddy in Cincinnati.
Yep.
We all had similar businesses, and we would do a conference Zoom call every single night
with wine
or whatever. It was a cocktail or wine night, and we would have drinks and talk, because it was almost like counseling session. Like, we needed to talk.
What's the new news today?
Yeah, because at some point it's like, okay, COVID's here. People are dying. You can't go in people's houses. How are we going to work?
Well, and I think the other part of that was Rodney Webb, right? Who's been a sales trainer for us at this point since the early mid 2000s.
2005.
I mean, he's had more of a footprint in our businesses in the Midwest at Lindus and us. He was instrumental.
Yep.
He's like, don't panic. Take care of the people where they want to get taken care of. Mm-hmm. It'll be okay. And Rodney was a beacon of peace and calmness in that tremendous time.
So it did two things for us. I mean, obviously COVID was not a good thing. It was a really bad thing. But for our businesses, it made us come together more.
Yep.
And little did we know, like, it would be our busiest year
ever,
pretty much. Because people were staying home.
It was a launching pad for sure.
Yeah. And if you're not going to work and you're sitting in your home every day, all the little things can really start to become visible and really bother you. Correct. So that worked out. And then
then we really started sharing resources, right? We started sharing accounting, we started sharing HR, marketing, and the sales manager really started getting together. And that's when we like, this is really becoming one brand, mm-hmm. right? And I think that's kind of where we got to today of the Larson Keeney brand.
Yeah, and then actually a couple year and a half ago, then we actually did really join forces, like officially as one company with two different names. And then we spawned a child.
Milwaukee.
Larson Keeney Home Services in our Milwaukee office, which last year was our first official year of having an officer. We had always done some work there. We didn't actively seek it out, but we would just do work there because we'd do a great job for somebody up in Green Bay or in Madison, and they'd know somebody. Mm-hmm. And we would do some work there, but it was...
We had a buddy there that had the gutter shutter business. Ernie had his business.
Our buddy Ernie had the gutter shutter business, and then we asked him to join us. And so now we've got Larson Keeney in the Milwaukee area, and, we're expecting big things out of that. There's more homes there than there are people
in our markets.
Either one of our markets. So there's a lot of homes to be fixed, a lot of people to help. So we're really excited.
Yeah, and in Milwaukee, Milwaukee's a great addition. That's gonna be fun to watch. But then we also really started focusing up northern Wisconsin.
Yep.
For us, lacrosse, lacrosse and Rochester for you.
Lacrosse and Rochester, Minnesota. Yep. And we go. We're in Rockford.
Yep.
We don't have an office in Rockford, but I mean it's only an hour from Madison.
So it's as we start,
footprint's getting bigger.
But we really took the top mentality, right? And the top mentality is that we need to keep the bottom of the top as tight as possible, because as we expand out, there's going to be more wobble. And if we can keep that bottom super tight, by the time we get out to those other markets, we need to make sure that same quality that Kevin Lindus taught us way back in the day can be delivered every single day for the Larson Keeney brand, and it's important for us.
Mm-hmm. There's a story that he used to tell that I think about all the time. They did a steel roof. You probably know this story. Got done. It had some scratches,
Mm-hmm.
and the homeowner saw it. Homeowner's like, "Yeah, I did a great job, but there's some scratches in my new roof." And they said, "Well, you could just, I think they wanted like 10,000. Just take some money off, $10,000 off, and we'll call it good." And he said, "No, because at the end of the day, when somebody asks you how the roof is, you're going to say they did a great job, but they left scratches in it. But they gave me a discount."
Not what he wanted.
Tore the entire roof off and redid the entire roof, even though giving him some money off would have been way cheaper.
And way easier.
Easy button.
Yep.
Easy button.
Yep.
I related that to a scenario that we had this fall. You probably know where I'm going with this. We were working on a mobile home, and bottom line is the shingles were a little too heavy for the mobile home, and her roof actually started to sag. And with this type of mobile home, we couldn't fix it. There's nothing we could do. And then we go to deal with insurance, and they're like, "Well, we're only going to give you what this place is worth," which wasn't even close to enough to be able to fix it. And it's kind of like, well, got to suck it up and do the right thing.
Always do the right thing.
Always do the right thing. And now this customer has now been in her brand new home for 3 weeks. We actually ordered her a brand new home, and I went to the mobile home dealership with her, and we sat down and we picked it all out, and I've never seen someone more happy and more excited. Like, we did the right thing.
Yeah, always do the right thing. Well, in a story like that, Andrew, that's when we talk about the Larson Keeney brands and the Larson Keeney experience, that's what gives me pride to when I wear a shirt out in public, or they see it. We see our cars around, and we have employees that they take pride in who they work for. Like that, those kind of stories of how we take care of people is it.
Well, and it's true. Like, I don't want to talk too much about Nancy. She's awesome, but she really thought she was screwed.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she really did. She's like, didn't think there was any way that was the only option.
Only option.
Now, legally, would we have to do that? No, we wouldn't. But
it's not who we are.
Morally and ethically, what do you do?
Correct.
Yeah, it was her home was not worth very much money.
But it was her home.
It was her home.
It was her home.
And she had it done up very nice, and it was hers. And we wrecked it.
Yep.
So, well, now she's got a new one.
Good for her.
She picked out everything.
That's awesome.
Got her first dishwasher she's ever had.
That's fantastic.
That was an upgrade.
Yeah. And that's, as we try to teach the same thing that Kevin Lindus taught us back in the day, in the 2000s, about doing the right thing and always having the customer be first, and truly creating an environment where people can be successful at work, but also be proud of it. That's what we're doing here. And I think that's really, you're starting to see the fruits of those labors of us teaching that culture down to every production employee, every sales employee. Like, that's the cool part of it.
Yep.
So kind of a lot.
That's what our salespeople hang their hat on, and they know it. They know that when we work on somebody's home, no matter what happens, it will be done right.
Mm-hmm.
They will be happy in the end, because we're not perfect.
Nope.
We make mistakes. Things happen. But what do you do after the mistakes have been made? Do you run and hide?
Right.
Do you
blame somebody else?
Off? Well, it's not our problem. No,
it's not our deal.
I would rather lose money and have somebody be ultimately happy and healthy in their home than to make a quick buck and have them be upset and something not working right?
Not worth it.
It's not worth it at all. I got to be able to sleep. I got to be able to look my kids in the eye.
So, yeah, my kids are a little older than yours. They're 21 and 19. And I remember you were up in my office one day, and my son Reese was sitting in my office, and we're going over some stuff, and he's going to school for business, and he goes, Dad, they don't teach us this stuff in school. And part of me is like, I wish they did, but you can't teach it unless you lived it and truly believe it into your core.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the cool part of it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a neat story how we both got here. How we took, how we became the best of friends. We didn't know each other beforehand, and now almost like my brother. And we have 2 businesses that are amazing. One brand, and 100 plus employees across the brands. Almost 110 now.
Mm-hmm.
It's a big responsibility for us to keep it right.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of a fun story.
That was fun.
Yeah.
Memory lane.
So, the person that sent that question in of, "Hey, how'd you guys get here?" And you say you got all this experience. Well, that's how we got that experience. And
Mm-hmm.
it's not always been easy, but,
Mm-mm.
I think it's as good as any college course you could have.
My wife wanted to leave me.
There's a lot of work sometimes.
Producer Shane, just remember this. If you go and work 15, 16 hours a day, 6 or 7 days a week, someone might get a little jealous of your time.
Yeah.
So
But,
happened to me early on.
but Andrea and Amy have been super supportive, and,
Yes.
they get it. They're our biggest cheerleaders, and it's actually been a really fun ride. I wouldn't change anything for the last, it's almost coming up on 25 years or 15 years. It is
15 years. 15 years.
Yeah, 15 years. 15 years, and I wouldn't trade it for anything.
No.
It's been a fun ride. So
So
cool.
all right. Well, there's going to be one of these popping out every single week. Keep the questions coming. See you next time.
All right, take care, guys.